Hello, welcome to this Sunday, September 10th. Yes, it's a very different game than we normally would have had, but you know what? It happens. Things have changed around a little bit. We all wish our best for Rachel, who's in the face of the hurricane in Florida, but instead, we'll play some Dungeons & Dragons in her stead. Good luck,
Good luck,
Rachel.
Rachel.
Yep.
Yes, thinking of you.
Yes, and your amazing and powerful cat Tabaxi when you return.
Tabaxi, who may or may not be pregnant.
With a gnome and/or an elf's child or something else, I don't know. The implications that Tabaxi's sleeping with
Or
everyone.
Fox.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, why don't we get started today? We have today's with Patrick, the goddamn GM, and of course Joe, who's usually with me anyway, who will be playing Silas and Regniald. So we'll have everybody kind of give their 2 cents about about themselves at the end of the show, of course, as I like to do. But why don't we dive right into it? So, each of you characters gets this letter from Ferdinand Fink, and so it might take your character a character or two to realize who this man is. He's known to be a collector of all things strange, unusual, and fantastic, and he has his own island on the coast of the main civilization, or the kingdom of humanity. And so you've got an invite, which is an unusual thing, as easily without even having to get a really good roll. Rumor has it that no one gets an invite anymore, that there hasn't been invites for years. So he has invited you to see his amazing and fantastic collection, and his boat will be in the end of the main port. Land in 3 days. Are either of you doing anything in order to prep for this, or are you just heading for the docks when it's ready, time to go?
I'm probably wasting a lot of time at taverns.
That's fine. There's some fine taverns in the land.
Do we know anything about what goes on his island?
Roll a history.
Okay, I have that.
Go ahead.
No.
All right then.
I think I might see if I can find some more information about him
Let me just clear out the rest of this here.
while he's hanging out in taverns.
Okay. All right. If you want to. I'm just clearing the chat command there on the screen. I guess if you want to spend a couple of days researching, give me another check with. Mm-hmm. There are places where you can get some information, some people you can to around town that might be. Okay. All right.
It was a 19 and it rolled to a 1.
You hear some really ridiculous rumors about Ferdinand Fink. People say that Fink is legend to be immortal. He appears human, but he never dies. Some say that he wrestled a dragon once, and outfoxed a god, in order to claim another item of his collection, like some legendary shield that's said to be under his collection. He tricked a god into getting it or something. The stories are really ridiculous and really live up to the idea of fantastical. It's each story is more ridiculous than the next that you pick up about him, and it's hard to say what is actually true.
So he's
Probably
fantasy
none of
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, he's fantasy Chuck Norris. You do hear a couple of interesting things, because the fact is, it seems like he is obsessed with himself. He calls his island Fantastia. Of course he does. And the port that people come into if they are going to visit his island is Finkerton, called the Village of Service.
I don't want to spoil a joke, but I'm already picturing, look, master, the boat.
It really is kind of like that. There's this fantasy island degree to it. So, That's about as much information as you're able to find out.
Bunch of overtold stories. Got it. Was I just talking to the bard this whole time?
No, you were probably talking to some other drunkard in the corner.
I was in the other corner.
Yeah, he was in the other corner.
Oh.
The really smoky one.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, bard, what is your name?
They call me Silas the Unfortunate.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So
Half elf, definitely look. I've seen like a better day. I have seen better days.
yeah, you can easily have this greeting when the two of you go to the docks and like run into each other as you're both trying to board the ship. Which the ship itself is it's actually pretty large for a sailing vessel, about twice the size of your average sailing vessel, and its figurehead looks to be some kind of like cephalopod of some type or something.
Odd. Are we the only ones getting on the ship?
Like
No.
it's a huge ship and there's only two of us.
No, other than the sailors who seem to already be on board, it seems 3 other people aboard. A halfling, a half-orc, and an elf. The halfling is, of course, dressed in, I'd say, like, moderate clothes. Basically what someone around town, maybe, like, one of the working class would have. The half-orc seems to have, like, kind of worn, torn clothes. He doesn't have sleeves. You notice that he's got kind of, like, a really big hammer kind of strapped across his back, like a like one of the big, like a two-handed maul or something. The elven lady is dressed in excellent finery. She still does, of course, have a sword by her side, as usual most travelers would. You do notice the halfling does seem to be unarmed, though.
I would probably gravitate more towards the halfling than the other two myself.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm actually in finery as well, but if you play close attention, you can see like where things have been sewn up, and there's a few like very faded stains here and there, possibly of blood.
Okay. The trip will be a few days, and you can find out some information about each of these. The halfling is named Tobin Leaffoot. He's actually an innkeeper, and until he got an invite to Fink's Island, he had never left his village. And he's from just a halfling village, and he got this invite, and he wasn't gonna go, but his wife was like, you know, you haven't seen the world, go to the big city, go check this out, and so he came along.
Awesome. That's my guy.
Yeah. The half-orc is a blacksmith named Borin Baker. He was, in fact, raised by dwarfs, and he owns his own smithy in the city of Eland. It's not a big place, but he is known for some fine goods. And the elven woman will only refer to herself as Elanor, and she's actually the ambassador for a local elven nation to Eland. And only because it seemed proper with this name that is sort of connected with Eland. Ferdinand Fink does have some influence in that kingdom, since it is close by to his island, that she agreed to come along here. She does seem, of the 3 of them, the least happy about this entire setup. Down below, you each have your own rooms, and there is a fine dining hall where a actual chef is cooking things for you each day for the couple of days of travel. And there's like an entire floor where you're assuming the sailors go to, that they're being just kept there. And you're kind of separated out from them, as if you're being treated like this high service ahead of any of them. And you almost have like a little bit of run of the ship. You do notice that there are some 2 catapults towards the front also, that always seem to be, not, I wouldn't say like manned, but there always seems to be someone nearby to them.
We're expecting sea troubles.
Maybe.
Giant cephalopods.
Yeah, Silas completely believes that with his strain of luck. It's one of those like, this is where I die mentalities.
Are either of you two doing anything in particular over the next couple of days?
I'm probably trying to entertain the crew and give maybe like a little bit of light to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I play a awesome harmonica.
Okay.
I'm also probably trying to bum any type of vice material like smokes, alcohol off any of the sailors, or seeing if there's any.
Tobin probably has a great supply of halfling smokeweed.
My man Tobin.
And he probably plays an awesome little like harp he's got with him, like it's like a mini harp rather than a lyre.
Like a harpsichord.
Yeah. So the two of you kind of jam out for a bit, while also on a lot. He's got good stuff,
Gotcha.
I'm actually probably going to be spending my time between the elven woman and the half orc.
Okay. Boren is succinct in his words, but he seems relatively friendly, a little gruff.
I'd probably talk more like shop with him about weapons and such.
Elanor gives you the time of day, but also kind of like gives you this odd look every time you speak to her.
I'm also the type of guy who's like, I have this giant smile on my face, very upbeat. Like when I walk up to her, "Hi, how you doing today?"
She is never happy about like meeting you, but is always willing to speak to you to a good degree.
The diplomat in her.
Yes. After a couple of days of this, though, you come into what Regniald you would know as Finkerton, the village of service. It's a small port leading into the city. You can notice it almost looks like the village itself kind of juts off the rest of the island to a degree, and it's like a lot of smaller buildings are almost just shoved into this area. You can see there does seem to be this kind of main thoroughfare, which leads to this massive road, which winds up a hill to what appears to be this huge manor above the city. Like, it looks to be made almost of actual gold. You're not sure if it's just painted that way, or it's a material that looks like gold, but it appears like gold. Just from, seeing it from here. And you can see there does seem to be a lot of business going on, people coming about their daily lives. There's only one other ship in dock right now, though it only looks like this dock maybe have 3, maybe 4 ships at most, anyway. When you arrive, a sailor comes up to all of you and is like, "Welcome to Finkerton, everyone. I'm sure the master will call for you in a few days. Please, you are offered to stay at the Golden Fink for free. It is the local inn. Ask for Samuel. He is the best both barkeep and innkeep that you can find in these parts."
Thank you.
And may Fink bless you.
I just kind of give him finger guns back, but don't say anything.
You notice that everything has a definite, yellow color to a lot of the coloring of everything. As if it's mimicking actual gold to a degree, except you do notice that there isn't, a lot of actual gold in the town. And as you sort of move in towards the center of it to where you can find this Golden Fink, there is this actual massive, marble statue of this man in the center of it, who's carrying this kind of, he seems to be leaning on this cane. He's got fine suits, like a top hat, a monocle on one face, and you can only assume this is Ferdinand Fink himself, kind of lording over the town. In the statue, even though it's not made of a gaudy substance, there's just something about it that puts it off.
Is there a yellow brick road leading up to it?
Yeah, I mean, the bricks probably are painted. Yeah, they're probably a lot of faded. They may have been originally painted yellow, but I mean, there's probably some age to the town.
I would say that upon seeing the statue, Silas visibly cringes. It's like seeing the most awkward thing. Just
you can notice that Elanor seems to follow suit with that one. Tobin is impressed with everything going on here because again he's never been outside of his village. So,
no.
And
poor Tobin.
And Boren's just I don't care, whatever. Why am I here? There's supposed to be some cool weapons or something under this guy's collection. I guess I could check them out. So you'll be able to easily head into the Golden Fink, and it definitely has like a chandelier that may have gold in it, but it might just be gold plated. You're not sure if it's full gold or not. Kind of in the center of it. There's a lot of light in here, definitely. There's a couple of torches just that seem to flicker with this kind of interesting yellow flame, actually. To sort of give the room entire... Like, the room itself is probably not actually have anything gold in it, but the flames itself that are sort of placed along the wall give it this almost golden glow. And behind is a kind of darker-skinned man, bald. He seems to be, like, behind this bar. And the bar itself is, like, kind of nice. It's got a couple round-top tables in front of it. There isn't a lot of people in here, and you can see a set of stairs leading upstairs to what you can only assume is the inn part of this. Greetings, travelers. He kind of like looks you over for a second. The guests for the master. You've arrived. We haven't had guests since I was a boy. Exciting, is it not? Welcome, welcome. What may I get for you? Beyond your rooms for the night.
I will take a shot of whiskey on a large dinner plate. Like in the glass, but on a plate. Like Arthur.
Yes.
Why?
He can serve it up for you. I shall give you our finest. As the master has requested, you are kept in the best of situations. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can assist you to the best of my ability.
What happened to your last guest? Why haven't there been some around in a while?
Master Fink has been kept to himself more recently. And you can kind of see a scowl come across his face for a second, and he's going to kind of lean in like across the bar, kind of like mention for you to get close. And between you and me, something's been going on up at the manor. Perhaps you can find out for us. Most of the servants have been dismissed most of the days. They only come in for short periods, when he seems to need them. I mean, the master continues to pay them, but only a skeleton crew seems to be taking care of the place. I'm unsure why. No one can know exactly why.
Does he come out of his drink? Does he come out of his manor often?
Oh no. Master Fink never comes down to town. It is said that he never leaves his manor, except to gather materials from around the world. But he has not done that in some time. He's only sent representatives of us, his town, out, as of late. At least as far as I can remember.
Could he just be getting old, maybe?
I don't think he ever gets old.
Odd.
I've seen the master myself. I saw him as a child. I saw him a few months ago. He looks exactly the same as he did as when I was a small boy. Rumor has it that some kind of magic sustains him, or that he's some kind of celestial being. I only know that he treats all who live here in the village well.
Well, that is good.
Yes. Well, I shall leave you to your meals and drinks, as he gets the other guests their meals and drinks that they order. What you would expect for each of them, Tobin will probably get some kind of, like, whiskey or something, too. Boren will probably get something really strong, and Elanor will get, like, an elven wine. Stereotypical for each of them.
Yes.
Okay. So, Whoops. Hit that thing. So, you guys can settle in for the night. Unless there's something else particular you want to do. All the rest of the guests will settle in for the night. Samuel will inform you that in the morning, you'll be expected to go up and meet with the master.
Okay. I want to go outside and look over that statue again. I want to just look at it. Does it look like he's human? Does it show signs of him being anything else?
He looks human. There isn't really any signs. Again, he's kind of got, like, you can't see the ears because of, like, hair and the top hat. It is like, he does look like a carnival showman, almost, would be the easiest way to describe him. Except, like, combine that with, like, a traditional gentleman. So he's kind of got, like, the monocle, but he's got, like, the ridiculous top hat. The clothes itself, it's hard to tell the exact color. You know, they look gentlemanly, but they could also be very, like, gaudy.
Gotcha. I would probably, I'd probably take a smoke break outside and use that opportunity to kind of, like, just case the streets around the area, like, see what kind of, like, what's my boundary area before, like, people start looking at me weird for wandering too far off.
You can definitely exit out into the town and start talking to folks. It seems like you can pretty easily wander the town. There's a number of small shops around this main thoroughfare, and it just seems to be houses off like a web of houses off of there. Getting out from the town, it's sharp cliffs, it seems, except for the main thoroughfare up towards Fink's Manor. Which you can learn is called the Golden Manor. And if you ask around town, rumor has it that is actually, in fact, the outer walls are made of gold. That's what everybody says.
Mm. What a fancy place you have here.
Mm-hmm. You also notice that everyone here refers to him as Master Fink.
Anytime that's mentioned, Silas probably gets, like, a weird disconnect, where, like, it stops the conversation cold for a moment, where it's like, yeah, right. Anyways,
does everyone work for him?
Good question. You can easily find out that, in fact, everyone in town either directly works for him or is related to someone that works for him. When they say it's the village of service, they mean
his service.
Yes, quite literally. It seemed like when you first hear about it, it's like, oh, they're really nice to visitors. But now it kind of makes sense as you sort of, like, ask around a little bit, that they're like, oh yeah, you know, it's like, I don't, but my cousin does, or my sister does. I run blank, blank, blank in town. So it seems like there's this, like, there does seem to be a split between those that work directly for him and those that work in something related to keeping the town going. There does seem to be a number of people that work upon the ships, too. And there also seems to be at least 2 ships that aren't around anymore that you can easily... People are very, like, talkative about it because, I mean, you're the master's guests. Why wouldn't you be wonderful people that they can, you know, they don't have to hide anything from? A couple of ships are out collecting things for the master, even now as they speak. One of them is said to be bringing back the rumor has it, some kind of massive bull with the skin of metal to add to his
collection of interesting creatures. Impressive.
Another one is said to be bringing back an ancient sword said to have slain a demon prince.
Ooh.
Or was it demon lord, devil prince? Whatever, one of them.
Lord, prince, whatever.
I have to remember the difference. Are either of you two pressing anything else, or are you going to head to bed then?
Probably head to bed. Like, if there's any... I feel like Silas has, like, a weird standard on what's valuable and what's not. So, like, if there's any, like, mini shampoo bottles or, like, little intricate things, he's probably trying to stack up on those.
Yeah, you could probably take like little
Bed mints.
yeah, little things that are probably there, yes, for like, like little perfumes or something. Probably some kind of like lavender scented block of like ancient soap. So it's not really like a great soap, but it's like it's what would be equivalent to like really nice soap in, medieval times kind of thing.
I will add 1 lavender brick to my inventory.
Yes. It is very lavendery, but then again, it makes up for the fact that, not as much washing. So
Even the chamber pots are gold.
Even better.
yes. Yes, even the chamber pots look as if they're made of gold. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you'll all spend the night, and you'll be given a kind of, I would say it would be referred to as a light breakfast in the morning that Samuel will serve you. He will offer, of course, alcohol or like a hot tea, or
I'll take a hot tea.
or something he refers to as kohi. That's apparently made from some exotic bean from far off.
Ah.
Gross. I'll take the alcohol.
I'll try the kohi.
It is very strong and bitter, but it also kind of like perks.
Energizes.
You feel a little energized too. You're like, ooh. You're not sure if it's like something in it or just the bitterness that wakes you up, kind of thing. You're like, it must be the bitterness that wakes me up. I understand why they drink this.
That's all you need is a very hopped up, happy Reginald right now.
Of course. Okay, the breakfast goes by, and all of you are then escorted by a man who comes down and is like, I shall escort you to Master Fink's residence. Please come with me. Excellent. The trek to the Golden Manor is not an easy one, because it is up a really large hill, and it takes you maybe about an hour to wind your way up there. But they did seem to make it relatively easy. It's like it goes between ramps and stairs when it seems necessary. And they have definitely carved out a path that is walkable. But you're like, whoever has to do this daily, more on them. If they have to do
I'm probably like whistling a tune and going, nothing like exercise in the morning to get your blood moving.
Tobin is probably struggling because A, he's never been up this high, and B, he's smaller than the rest of you, so it's like, the stairs are made for medium creatures, it's a little difficult for him.
I'm probably back with Tobin a bit, like cigarette, like getting out of breath, and it's like inhale a cigarette. It's like, okay, for some reason, like that's rejuvenating my will to go up these.
Once you get to the top, the doors, these like grand doors that seem to be almost of shining gold, will open up, and there will be actual trumpets going on as like a red carpet will roll out. Very much so, like Willy Wonka style, as them walking out, not with a roll or anything, he's actually walking out, walking on this fine cane, and you now notice that suit that he was in stone is jet white. It is a pure white suit that he is in. As the man with the kind of clean-shaven face, kind of short black hair, the monocle still in his eyes, he's kind of got these almost golden amber eyes, and thus the white thing with just a little like almost gold-colored neckerchief to like break it up. And you can notice that the cane, it looks like it's made of jade and shaped like a dragon's head. As he kind of like snaps it down, it's like, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am your host, Ferdinand Fink. Welcome to my abode. I hope your stay in my quaint little village has been acceptable. If anybody starts to speak, he interrupts them right away and is like, well then, let us get on with the tour.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
He will then start with his tour. The first part of the tour will lead you through what looks to be a collection of various magical items and relics, all behind like massive protective cases and like metal and things, where you can see all kinds of strange items that, like, he can regale you with stories from. He'll then lead you to another section of the building, which was seemingly filled with, like, ancient artifacts from civilizations. And I don't, I mean, like, more like, time-wise artifacts rather than magic artifacts. Though it looks like some of them may or may not be magical, also. Hard to say on those. But each of them seems to be linked to some kind of ancient culture, some of which you recognize, other which, you're like, I've never heard of that before. That seems odd. And, he eats up a great deal of the morning, and it's about midday, like mid-afternoon, when he finally says, well, perhaps let's have a early dinner before we head on to the last part of the tour.
All right.
Excellent.
Silas will just give a nod.
Come with me. He'll lead you into an area that's probably more of a living space, and this grand dining room, of course, where everything seems, once again, plated in gold. The only difference is, like, the tables and chairs just seem to be made of some kind of really fine wood with, like, velvet-lined cushions on them, with gold and silverware out, and it's the ridiculous place sets, too. So it's like, you look at it and you're like, I don't know what fork to use. The only one that seems to know what fork to use is the Elven Ambassador. She's the only one that seems familiar with this entire thing.
I just go for whatever's in close proximity.
Yeah. He will lay out the meal, and about halfway through the meal, though, which he only seems to be enjoying wine right now, he's actually going to get kind of a somber look. He's going to take off his hat and put it down and be like, I must apologize to you, ladies, gentlemen, but I brought you here for an ulterior motive. You see, there is, well, a problem that you might be able to assist me with today.
Eyebrow raise.
Well, we shan't get into it during dinner. I would not wish to interrupt with it. But the back end of the tour, I can show you my problem. And perhaps you can assist me on it.
Just eyebrow. Like, from eye level to top of forehead.
Yes. But please, enjoy. As he kind of mentions for, I guess, a dessert course to be brought up of, like, some kind of fine cake and, like, dessert or something, and, like, what would be equivalent to ice cream made with, like, a ray of frost or something,
So Dippin' Dots?
Yes, Dippin' Dots. Because I guess that's what ray of frost would really make, is Dippin' Dots. Afterwards, he will take you on a tour of his, what would be best described as garden grounds, and like an insane zoo of every unusual creature you could ever imagine. Dragons, chimeras, medusas with special glass that you can view them without turning to stone.
Any flumps?
Sure. A small
Sweet.
group of them. Yeah. Pretty much anything you can imagine, he has seemingly all of it in some way. He does seem to not have any particular humanoids, and certain other creatures which he refers to as would be too dangerous to keep here. Or
as opposed to the dragon.
The dragon seems to have a nice pile of treasure to sit on and get a stipend in order to live here.
Gotcha.
He bribes the dragons. Mm-hmm. He also mentions they just play them off each other because he does have a good and evil one, and has convinced them that the other one is plotting something against the other, and so therefore uses this in order to keep them in bay with each other, because they're always trying to, like, plot against each other. Mm-hmm. Eventually he's going to take you towards, like, the back end of the tour, and he's going to be like, well, I'm afraid we must end the tour, and I can show you my problem. He's going to walk up to a pen and go, behold! It looks like he's a bunch of white horses. You see now my problem?
Too many white horses?
He's going to kind of give this look and kind of,
Are
like,
they
shake
missing
his
their horns?
Yes! How can I have unicorns and no horns?
Pretty sure you have horses.
He's gonna like mention for one of them to come over, and it's going to, and he's gonna kind of hold its head down and like point out a spot in it, and those look to be like a marking where probably something was coming out of it. And he's gonna point at, give you this look of like, yeah, look at this.
How do you steal a horn?
Probably some kind of magic, I assume.
Could I do like an Arcana check to see if there's any like remnant
Sure.
magic or like spell lingering?
Sure.
You know, of horn removal.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm an arcane caster. I realized I didn't put anything in intelligence. I have a -1. So,
Hey.
boom. Yeah, that's decent. I mean,
Yeah.
considering I'm not a smart guy, I'm just leaning in like,
You kind of like look at it for a while, and you're like, you don't necessarily can tell if there's any magic, but you're like, well, there might be a magic that can do that.
So your problem here is that their horn's missing.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
Missing horn.
Can they regrow?
He's gonna kind of put his head on his six. No, they cannot regrow. Look, as you're gonna kind of like take a look around, as you all have probably noticed, you do not see a lot of people working here. It does seem to be very few people for such a large building. Let me be perfectly honest with you. I am unable to solve this problem. I believe someone under my employ has caused this. Who? I cannot say. I could summon them all to the castle, but it's very likely that, well, not everyone can come to the manor itself. There are those that are unable to take the trip. And what if one of them is involved in it and has what's going on? I needed outsiders. And well, I happen to have a knack in knowing who to call at the right time. And you five are who to call.
What would someone do with a horn?
That's an excellent question. Perhaps one of you could find this out? Your elven friend will speak up and be like, if there is some assistance to be made on magical matters, I do have some expertise in it. Also, if you have a library, I could reference things and figure out if something's going on. Otherwise, I am not apropos to getting my arms dirty. Or even hands.
Are there any current suspects that you feel would be...
Anybody that was working at the time. Why do you think I have so few people on? Only the most trusted of individuals have been kept on.
Do you have a list of those peoples?
My steward would be able to inform you of anything he knows.
Maybe we should concentrate on people who handled the animals?
Yes, there was the unicorn handler is nearby too. I could send you to him. The steward would know anything about anyone else that's employed.
I say we go to the unicorn wrangler first, and then steward second.
Excellent. Your friend Tobin will kind of look at you and be like, what can I do? I'm not a fighter if this involves some kind of combat.
I'll look down at Tobin and go, you're my emotional support.
All right. Well, if you need me to do anything else,
yes, take notes.
yes. Boren will basically like, I'll stay with the elf lady until you need me for something.
I'll nod. Understood.
All right. So you will head towards the unicorn handler and feeder. And why don't we go to first break, because we might be getting an extra player during break here too. So why don't we take it? It might be a little long, so we'll be back 5-10 minutes from now, and you can join us back here for more of the Fink's Fantastic Collection and learning what's going on. So I hope we'll see you in a little bit, folks. Bye.
Oh.
To be continued.